Okay, so next week, if I'm not mistaken, is like the fate of the world is being decided. Is it not? November 5th? Yeah, am I right? Okay, so the funny thing is, the gloves are coming off, and what I want to talk about is that we're garbage. If you've probably heard Biden talk to us about, and I just what I want to do is I'll talk a little bit more on Sunday about it, but I mean, we're going into next week as probably you're going to see some of the most chaotic things you probably can ever see before. And things seem to be ramping up already in many regards. The rhetoric obviously has been ramping up. Joe Biden, I don't know. Look, he doesn't even know what he's talking about a lot of times, but he's echoing only what he has heard over and over again about us and the deplorables, and that's been a mentality of the elites for a very long time. So, people say, well, he doesn't even, he's an old man, Brandon, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Look, the whole elite class looks at people like us as deplorables, as garbage, as useful idiots, or whatever they want to call us, And you have to understand that when you're discussing the elites, and they say things like, yeah, we need to figure out how to depopulate the planet in a civilized way. You have to know what that means, right? Depopulate the planet in a civilized way. That means that they have no problems like killing you, okay? No problems killing you. You're in the way. You're an inconvenience. And you look. I'm not telling you stuff you don't know. But I think it's time that you alert others in your family and your friends. Hey, these people are playing for keeps, man. This is not just empty threats of kind of the stuff they're saying. This is real deal threats. What they want to do with the world. Now, should we expect cheating? Yes, I think all of us that are sane individuals should expect that they're going to cheat. Oh, by the way, they've already started. Okay? They've already started, and so it's already happening. And so this is why it's important to tell people to vote, because you have to outvote the cheating. Okay? You have to outvote the cheating. Here is an example of what we're talking about. Many news organizations, legitimate, picked up on this story. There was a single voter ID linked to dozens of votes in a critical Trump state. I think this was in Michigan. Yes, Michigan. And this is, as you look on the right-hand side, this is one voter ID. As you can see in the purple outlined, they voted all on the same day from all these different addresses. Okay? That's just one. One individual did that. Now throw in, after reviewing qualified voter files of votes actually cast as yesterday of October 29, 2024, the database identifies 545 Michigan voters who have cast 113 ballots from multiple addresses across the state. This results in excess, guys, of 164,568 excess ballots. There's more people voting that's on the roll. Okay? It's happening. I told you. We all knew it. It's going on. And this is my thing, my beef. And Terry probably echoed the same thing. We've talked about this on the radio. How come they've not fixed all this? We've gone for 4 years, and they haven't fixed Dominion's voting. They won't fix locally what's going on here. And it's still happening. We know it. Yeah.
Where did they get all the extra ballots?
Well, that's a good question. I heard that you can order on Amazon extra ballots, okay? Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. But apparently it's really easy to get these things. And so they do all of this, and you're thinking, how did we reach 2024 and we haven't figured this out? Well, because, guys, they don't want to figure it out. They want this ability to cheat and have illegals vote and have multiple people vote. I don't know how many times this guy voted.
Can you tell if it was Democrat or Republican?
The what now?
Tell if it was a Democrat vote or a Republican vote.
I don't know if he can on this. But I guarantee you probably know what it probably is. It's Detroit. Jurisdiction, Detroit City. I have a pretty good idea, Detroit City, where that's coming from, right? Okay. But, okay, so I don't know. I don't know how to express my frustration any more than maybe I know the answer. Maybe Terry knows the answer. Maybe you know the answer. The Republicans were supposed to fix this. They were all up in arms about it. We got to get on this, and yet they did nothing. Oh, okay, gotcha. Uniparty, thank you. Okay, the majority of them. You think Mitch McConnell wanted to fix this? No, I don't think Mitch McConnell. I think Mitch McConnell. I was listening to Ted Cruz is like points away of losing in Texas, right? And you got guys like Mitch McConnell holding the purse strings of this big war purse, and they won't give it out to anybody, and they're playing games because other people are not part of the system. They don't want to see them win. And it's like, who's Mitch McConnell's side? Who's he on? What are you doing, right? Well, yeah, you already know. So, some more dirty, rotten scoundrels, things are happening. So Elon Musk said his company was looking into claims that the Harris-Walz presidential campaign was trying to manipulate community notes on X in order to push more favorable narratives. The report noted that the efforts were a gross violation of the terms of service on X, prohibiting the artificial amplification of information. Okay, so, hey, here's one guy. Okay, Elon Musk, he's kind of weird. Okay, but at least for free speech, he's on our side, at least for now, and he realizes what they're doing on X. Okay, thank God that he's on this. But here's my other question. How many other, is Zuckerberg on this? You get what I'm saying? On the other social medias, Instagram and all those other guys, are they on top of this? No, and no. They're not. I'm thankful that Elon Musk is doing that, but the problem is there's more than X. That's the problem. But look, they tried it on X. So what does that tell you? They're going to do it on the other social media. So what am I telling you? I'm seeing cheating already, and I'm seeing messing around with fraud, really, on social media. Oh, that's the same thing we had last time. Yeah, and we didn't fix it. Because it would just all go away, right? So, propaganda, third element. ABC mistakenly releases Tuesday's election results. Did you know that? Oh, yeah, it already happened. The election already happened, yes. ABC mistakenly, I don't know if it was a mistake, so put up there that Harris won, I think it's Pennsylvania. You can see under the little starter thing, Harris 52%, Trump 47%. And they already have the vote tallies there. How did they get the vote tallies? What? Oh, yeah, it was a mistake. What do you think they're gearing up for? What do you think they're preparing to do? Cheat, lie. Pennsylvania's already lost. You guys might as well not even vote. Come on. It's already over. Harris already won. Don't even go out and vote, please. Fox did this one time. They came out too early with the stuff, and what does that do? It sways voters that are last-minute voters. You don't. They produce results like this, and this is not a result. Obviously, the election hasn't happened yet. Wow. Okay. The point I'm going to make about this. This is an interview with Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly, okay? Bill Maher, obviously, he's a liberal, and sometimes he gets it right, sometimes he doesn't, and he's going to push Megyn Kelly, but Megyn Kelly is really going to leave him kind of dumbfounded. And what I want you to watch is how Megyn Kelly articulates the argument very well to him and puts him in a place that he doesn't know where to go, okay? But I want to show you this because this is what's my bigger point. My bigger point is Western civilization is riding on the shoulders of people that can articulate these arguments to these types of individuals, okay? But what's disappointing about this is it's not a Christian pastor. It is not a Christian leader. And we have plenty of them, I think. But yet, I do not hear them articulating arguments that Megyn Kelly, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro are making to the left. And I want to show you this to say this is what Christian leaders should be talking about, and there's nothing, and so we have a problem. Okay? So just listen to Megyn Kelly. She does a really good job, but my opinion is it should be a Christian articulating this to Bill Maher, but unfortunately, we don't got him.
I'm not saying you don't have a point. I'm just saying it's hard for people to understand why that, which is not democracy, that's the border issue. And you're right, they it up. That, with like the things he's been saying, and all the people in his administration who said he's a fascist, he wants to be a fascist, he talks like a fascist, his friends are all dictators.
I don't care about that at all. Not at all.
Because?
January 6th was not good.
Wait, why don't you care about that at all?
Because they've been saying that about Trump for years. They've been saying that about Republican candidates for years. It has like a long storied history. If you are at all center or center right, you are used to having your candidate of choice completely demonized, whether it's the F word, the R word, the misogynist word. They tried to tell us Mitt Romney was a raging sexist because of binders full of women. They tried to tell us John McCain was a raging racist, notwithstanding the fact that he had adopted a daughter from Bangladesh. They've been doing this for every Republican. They get to Trump, and we no longer are listening to them. Trump has incendiary rhetoric, there's no question, but we have 4 years to judge him by, and the country was going pretty well when Trump was in there, unlike the 4 years we've had under these two.
Well, I mean, I could argue with that too. Actually, if Trump had this economy, and I could go through all the stats, the stock market is through the roof, wages are up.
It's not as high as it was under Trump.
Well, first of all, Trump inherited somebody else's economy.
That's what Barack Obama would like us to.
Well, it's true.
Okay.
It's really on day one, everything changed.
So just walk me through it. So Trump has Obama to thank for his economy, but Biden can't thank Trump for anything.
Okay. Let's get off this. Because it's not what I really want to get to.
Look, you want to know why I'm going to vote for him, notwithstanding what you said. And I'll give you a couple good reasons off the top of my head. Number one, what's happened with illegal immigration. I'm voting for him because I don't want any more Laken Rileys. I don't want any more Jocelyn Nungaros, the 12-year-old girl who was killed in Houston by 2 Venezuelan illegal immigrants who took her to a bridge and murdered her and threw her over the bridge.
And Americans have ever done that?
That's not the point. We have to take the Americans. I know, but we don't have to take it from Venezuelan illegals.
Oh, okay, I agree with you. I agree we took in too many immigrants. But the idea that you take in immigrants, I would assume you concede we should do that to a degree. We should take in people from other countries. We take in like 1 million legal every year.
Legal is one thing.
Anytime you take in 1 million people, some of them are going to commit crimes,
Bill,
like of any group.
Do you have any idea how many illegals we let in under Biden-Harris?
Okay, so that's your issue?
That's one of them. 10.4 million at least. That's what Customs and Border Patrol says. It's probably more. That doesn't count the gotaways. 10.4. You know how many it was under Trump? 2.3.
But that's more important than democracy and
That is democracy. What is America if we let in another 20 million illegals who come into your community, who overrun your town, who endanger you, who take up social service money so that your community center closes, so that you can't pay for basic services for your townspeople?
We're talking about size of things, like Arnold Palmer.
So she's making the argument, and she's doing a very good job. Like, you know, he said, is that democracy? Yeah, you will destroy democracy. You will let everybody into this country illegally. It will. And so I appreciate Megyn Kelly. I mean, she's not a Christian, but I want to hear, where are the Christian leaders making these arguments? I mean, I think we do. We're doing it here, and we do it most of the time, but I don't see the other churches making these arguments. And I don't see Joel Osteen, and I don't see these people making the arguments against illegals. Why is that? Why are they so silent? And why are we putting the rescue of the West into unbelievers' hands? Again, she might be a believer, I'm not sure, but she doesn't claim to be a believer, I don't think. She's Catholic or something like that, maybe. Okay, whatever. But you get what I'm saying. We should have thousands and thousands of pastors making the argument, and yet we don't. We have Megyn Kelly, and God bless her for doing that, But, we got other guys like this guy, and I appreciate Waters, and definitely appreciate the great one, as he's called, Mark Levin, and he gets that nickname because he's very intelligent, and he makes very cogent and logical, rational arguments. But even he is warning of look, if Trump wins, don't think this is over. It's just begun. So listen to like Mark Levin warn all of us, and I think it's a legitimate warning.
And that's the point. And Jamie the Red, whose father was a Soviet supporter years ago in Washington, D.C., he challenged the 2000 election, the 2004 election. That's George W. Bush. He challenged the 2016 election. He was on every impeachment panel. He was he was on the January 6th panel. He's already said they're not going to sit still if Donald Trump wins the presidency. They're talking about using Jack Smith's filing in front of the radical left Judge Chunkin in Washington, D.C. as a basis for impeachment. Look what they did to Trump right out of the box. They impeached him twice. They unleashed a criminal investigation of him and his family and the subpoenas. They tried to undermine them. They have lawyers in the shadows right now, slip and fall lawyers, who they talk about democracy and they talk about the Constitution. These slip and fall lawyers, they're out of the George Washington Law School. They're plotting right now how to cripple a Trump presidency right out of the box. Look, these people are the revolutionaries, whether it's revolution by immigration, whether it's revolution by law and lawfare. These people are trying to turn this country inside out. They are a grave, grave danger to our way of life, our prosperity, peace and security, and our family. That's why this election, every thing is on the line, Jesse.
So they're already planning it. And you already know that. I mean, but again, I'm glad Mark Levin is mentioning this to say, hey, look, you think if he wins, it's all over? If you have another thing coming, man, they will go crazy if he wins. They will do everything they can, and maybe even have another assassination attempt. I don't know. This Megan Rapinoe, she's obviously a wackadoo, the ex-soccer gal that always wants to put her narcissism on display. Anyway, she goes, I believe that people want better than the grim, dark, just violent reality that Donald Trump is very clearly laid out for. I don't know what you're talking about, man. What violent reality are you referring to? But again, this is coming from the left, and it doesn't have to be true. They just make stuff up, right? But you have to understand what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people that are not in reality, okay? And so they're demonizing. He's telling everybody what he's going to do, and it's really dark, and it's really sad, and I don't think anybody wants to live like that. I don't know what you're referring to. I don't understand. He's not going to restrict your gay rights, whatever you think that is. Rapinoe, I know you're a lesbian. He's not going to restrict you from having your lover. What are you talking about? Deporting illegal immigration? Obama did that. And in fact, he did a lot of it. In fact, other Democratic presidents have sent people back that are illegal. That's dark. That's sinister. What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about. But this is the game, okay? When Satan doesn't have anything, what does he do? He lies. He just makes it up, right? So just making stuff up. And people are so stupid, they believe her, right? It's nuts. And so here's Joe Biden calling on all of us garbage, okay?
Just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
There you go. You said it. So the whole context is they had a roast, okay? They had a comedian that was doing a roast, and he made fun of Puerto Rico, okay? It's called a roast, and if you don't understand what a roast is and can't laugh, then you don't understand comedy. That's what, it wasn't Trump saying Puerto Ricans are trash. It was a comedian talking about that. Have you ever seen a roast? Has this person ever seen a roast? Apparently not. I mean, at a roast, man, they go off the chain on stuff. That's how a roast is. They roast Tom Brady. They roast athletes. They roast comedians. They do everything. Nothing's off limits when you do a roast. Everybody knows that, okay? And so they take that seriously, and he said, well, they're making fun of Puerto Rico. You didn't get it. It's a joke. It's a joke, dude. It's a joke. But then what happens is the real person comes out in them and comes on display, and you heard it. That's how elites think of you. You're garbage. You know, that's the real Joe Biden. That's not a slip. That's latent inside of him. It's latent in Kamala. It's latent in Nancy Pelosi and Obama and all of the rest. And the European elites all think like that. They all think like that. You're just in the way. Look, I've heard the World Economic Forum say we've got to get rid of people voting. That is hurting our democracy. If you get rid of voting, that is, you don't have democracy anymore, or whatever you think democracy is, a constitutional republic. What are you talking about? You want to get rid of voting. But that's coming out of the World Economic Forum, right? So they don't think you can make intelligent decisions. They think they're smarter than everybody. It's Plato's elite class that's going to run everything, right? And that's really what's happening. He's just showing you his true colors, right, when they call you that. So now all the memes are coming out. Proud to be an American, a garbage can. Yeah. That's a good one. So they have Trump. These are Trump memes. These are not real, guys. These are AI. But, you know, he's standing in a Trump heap, or trash garbage heap. Garbaggio, garbage. So all these memes are popping out. Democratic disposal. That was a good one. Make garbage great again. That was a good one. I like that. Ultra MAGA, take back America. That was a good one. Trump taking us to the White House in a garbage truck. I don't know how the AI does it. That's pretty cool, man, how the AI is doing that, man. I like that. This is coming from not the Muppets. What are these guys? Sesame Street, right? Oscar, is that Oscar the Grouch, the trash can guy? Okay. He's getting into the act. MAGA garbage, really cool. And then this guy wrapped himself up in a trash bag, and because he's garbage, and put his hat on. And this could be us. Okay. So here's your favorite show, The View. I know it's many of yours favorite View. But what I want to show you on this is like it's coming out, right? They can't hold it back. And I want you to listen to Whoopi Goldberg just let it come out and let it slip, okay? Of what she thinks about you too, because you're garbage to them. See, Whoopi Goldberg thinks she's an elite. And okay, she thinks she's an elitist, right? She thinks she's up there, like Plato's Republic, the elites will decide for us, that we're too stupid, right? So listen to this. And I know afterwards your ears will bleed and we'll have cotton swabs on the back. I know it, but you just got to hear it, okay?
So I don't understand why you clutching your pearls, because you're trying to make something out of a tongue slip. Yeah, Hillary called these folks deplorable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
But
it happened, but
for months and months we've been hearing how Joe Biden is in dementia, that he's old, he's doddering, he can't remember. All of a sudden, he's clear as a bell.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the under on this one. I'm going to take the under on this one. I thought Kamala Harris knocked it out of the park with her closing message, and this stepped on it because she is running on unifying the country, being a country for all Americans, including the 74 million people who voted for Donald Trump last time. I appreciate that Joe Biden immediately and swiftly walked it back. Donald Trump does not walk back comments, but the profile of the undecided voter right now is like a lot of people in my family. Life felt a little better under Donald Trump. I kind of think he's a jerk, but I don't know. I don't know if I trust that other side. I don't feel like they really care about me. So when they hear the president of the United States, who was Kamala Harris's running mate, calling them garbage, they're like, see, they're not with us. He's not.
But here's my question.
I understand his walk back, but that is how it's going to be blasted to tens of millions of people who believe that.
Blessed, but I don't understand. Here's my thing. We have all watched the last 4 or 5 years. We've seen everything. We've heard everything that's been said about people, regardless of who it is. We've heard everything. So when you say, I'm undecided and I don't know if I trust them, and now they're saying this about us, how do you, not you, but how do people think I feel when I listen to some clown talk about, Kamala's pimps?
No, trust me. There is a completely unfair standard with Donald Trump. I'm saying there's an unfair standard where his supporters have just decided it's baked in when he insults people, but they do take offense. Deplorables did matter. That comment from Hillary Clinton did matter. But I would say that
she was right. But it turned out she was right. But it turned out she was right. But it turned out she was right.
Did you catch it? I played it over and over again. She said they're talking over each other. That's the problem, but that's why you can't hear them. But she said it turned out she was right about the deplorable comment. That's what she said. Okay? So Whoopi Goldberg says that on TV. It turns out Hillary Clinton was right in calling them the deplorables. Again, they entrap themselves in their own words, okay? How they feel about people. Whoopi Goldberg apparently is such a narcissist that she thinks she's an elite, okay? And again, elite is defined as they think they're better than you, they think they're smarter than everybody, they think they're like a god that's going to make decisions for all of us, and we're too stupid to make decisions for our own lives, okay? And that the elite class needs to be running things. That's Whoopi Goldberg, okay? But what I'm trying to show you is they're not hiding it anymore, okay? Whether they think you're a garbage, a deplorable, that's the view of you, okay? So we're dealing with a certain amount of people in our population that hate you, okay? They hate you. Robert De Niro calls Trump a blank, 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 okay? I don't expect anything different. The rhetoric is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. Hitler, fascist, all this other stuff, right? Passenger now was thrown off London flight after flight over a MAGA hat. So this flight that happened in Heathrow, apparently, somebody was getting on this plane, heading back to America, obviously, with a MAGA hat, okay? And it doesn't say in the article, because the police never said who's at fault, but someone threw a punch, okay? Neither one was charged or whatever, but they got in a big fight, okay? So, as you'll see in the Breitbart's article and the other articles, you need to use your own common sense about who started a fight, okay? Do you think it was the person wearing the Trump hat that went after a person not wearing a hat and picking a fight with someone not wearing a Trump hat? Or do you think it was someone seeing somebody wear a Trump hat and then went after them? See, that's what the police won't say. The police won't come out in London, because they're always covering things up in London. The police won't come out and say who's at fault. But I already know who's at fault. Okay? It's somebody probably saw the MAGA hat, got ticked off, threw a punch, and then the fight was on. That's what happened, I think. And I could be wrong. On a wild goose chase, it probably, yeah, right. Someone wearing a MAGA hat said, hey, you're not wearing a MAGA hat. I'm going to hit you. I don't think that's how it went down, because there's no other scenario that goes down, okay? And so anyway, this is what we're talking about, the incitement. It's going to get ugly. That's my point. It's getting ugly, okay? Listen to this guy. Listen to this guy. Obviously Democrat, but just listen to the rhetoric of what they're saying, okay?
Donald Trump hinted yesterday in his speech that he has some secret with Speaker Mike Johnson. Now, you wonder, why did Donald Trump come to New York 9 days before the election? This state is going to go to Kamala Harris. And the answer is that the House really runs through New York. There are 7 races that could go either way in the House, and that will likely determine the majority. And make no mistake, the House, we get sworn in on January 3rd. On January 6th, the certification of the Electoral College will happen again, and as we know from 2021. Whoever is in control of the House, of Congress, will be able to have a lot of say on what happens on January 6th. And I suspect, we don't know, but I suspect Donald Trump's little secret plan with Mike Johnson is a backup plan for when he loses, and he tries to go to the House of Representatives to throw out the Electoral College, the certification from the states, and have the House of Representatives under the leadership and the control and the gavel for Mike Johnson, and try to overturn this election.
It's already started. I mean, okay, hey, guy, that's a conspiracy theory. That's crazy, and you're crazy, and you need to get. If I was the host of CNN, but it's not going to happen, I would say, you need to be quiet now. You're crazy. You need to go take your medication, and next time, break the pill in half. Don't take too much, because you took too much and you overdosed, and now you're in crazy land. Okay? But that's not going to be said. But what he just said, and whoever listens, the 12 viewers of CNN that watch this are going to believe what CNN says. But my point is, this is a guy who apparently is a representative of New York and is in politics, okay? This is not some dude on the street that's shooting up hypodermic needles. These are people in power, people in politics. And they're saying crazy stuff like this, right? And unfortunately, low information people will believe some dude in a tie saying Trump's going to seize the office, he's not going to accept the election, and he's going to seize it, and we're going to have another January 6th, and he's got a little secret there with Mike Johnson, and him and Johnson have cooked up a little scheme for him to take the country and become a tyrant and become a fascist. I mean, it's like, whoa, we're at a way different point in history if this is what we're doing now in America. We're at a way different point. This is not politics as usual. This is crazy land. This is carnival. This is circus, right? Again, nuts. And it doesn't help when our side is doing stupid things, and maybe this person's not on our side, but I'm sure she's not. But anyway, this is Billy Graham's granddaughter, who runs on his name, by the way. And she's a disaster, okay? She expresses her hope that fellow evangelicals, don't put me in there, I'm sorry, will have the courage to realign with her views, arguing without a shred of irony that Kamala Harris embodies the virtues of humility, justice, and love. Who else could claim with a straight face that mostly radical progressive politician in recent history, a career bureaucrat whose values clash with biblical teachings at every turn, is the Christ-like candidate? And you have to look at this and you think, hey, that's Billy Graham's granddaughter, and she's crazy, okay? And I'm not trying to be mean, but hey, that should wake everybody in this room up that you're like one generation from crazy land with your own kids or grandkids. And I'm not faulting Billy Graham for that or anything like that. It just shows you the free will of an individual. You can have a great ancestor like Billy Graham and go off the rails like her. Wow, what? This goes diametrically opposed to everything your family stood for. Is this to get back at Billy Graham? Is this to get back at your grandfather or your dad or your mom? What is this about? But again, this is the problem we have in Christianity, of evangelicals, Christians for Kamala. And this doesn't help. This is making things worse. Okay, so here's a point I'm trying to get to. I don't know if any of you guys saw the interview between Rogan and Donald Trump, but I would recommend you doing it. I would recommend, though, make sure you have your earbuds in because sometimes Rogan will cuss. Okay, so I just want to give you a heads up. It's not a Christian program. But what came out in this 3-hour program, because Kamala was not about to go toe-to-toe with Rogan. Rogan would have thrashed her because Rogan just asked simple, honest questions. Okay? Rogan's a little rough around the edges. He's not a Christian, so don't think that I'm recommending a Christian program to you. But there's 40 million views of this. It might be one of the most impactful interviews Donald Trump has ever done with Joe Rogan. And it's motoring through 3 hours of questionings from Joe Rogan. I liked it. I thought it was good. Joe got to the issues that needed to be addressed. Okay. What ends up happening here is Steve Deace writes a good write-up about this. And again, I recommend you listening to it because I think it's a historical interview. Okay, because 40 million. You don't have 40 million. They're likening it to one of the most historical, influential interviews anyone's ever done based on the numbers. Okay, so it's a piece of history if you're gonna listen to it. Okay, you're not listening for Christian content. Please understand. Okay, it's not a sermon. Please understand. Okay? Don't write me and email me, I can't believe he used the F word in there. Yeah, I know. It's Joe Rogan. Please understand. Okay? But Steve Deace wrote a good article about this. Okay? For better or worse, Rogan now guides more of the next generation of male discipleship and leadership in this country than the church does. Ouch! Ouch! And he's right. Steve Deace is right. An influence shift that the church has allowed. This single conversation inflicted more epistemological damage on the spirit of the age that threatens Western civilization than the Christian church has managed in a generation. Ouch. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Because like I said at the beginning, I want to know why Joe Rogan, Megyn Kelly, or Elon Musk, or Donald Trump, or all these other guys are trying to carry the torch for Western civilization, and the majority of Christians are letting this happen, letting the walls of Constantinople go down, and let us being invaded by the spirit of the age, which is wokeism. Okay? He goes, once the institution, i.e. the church, that shaped this civilization, the church has become weakened and passive in confronting today's cultural battles. I agree. I couldn't agree more, Steve. This interview also signals where the culture war may go post-Trump. With the church caught up in its self-censorship, that's exactly right. Church pastors don't want to say anything anymore. They're afraid to offend everybody. And essentially emasculating itself. I agree, the feminization of the church has happened, totally agree with that. Something else must emerge to confront the darkness. Would God prefer to use our family values pastors who speak with little vice? Absolutely. But just as Gideon sounded the trumpet for the battle, the church has decided it has better things to do. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. So if the culture war needs voices like Rogan and Trump, so be it. As believers, we shouldn't compromise our core principles. We're not allowed that luxury. But we should recognize where the battle is, go there, and stand with those willing to fight. Not everyone storming the beaches of Normandy was a devout believer, yet they fought. Cast aside your sweater, vests, and furrowed brows and join this fight while you still can. Joe Rogan, interviewed with Donald Trump, confirms that this battle will happen with or without us. And he's right. The battle is happening. I believe all of us in here are in the battle because this is who we are. But I want you to think about it. Is the church down the road in the battle with us? No, they're not. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to be mean, but you know what's going on here. You go to those churches and nothing's on the radar. Nothing. Nothing. They won't even talk about this election. I guarantee you they won't talk about this election. They won't do it. You know? And yet we have people threatening us. We get these crazy people online finding out that we're collecting ballots, which is legal in California, and they send the DA out on us. Because these crazy nut jobs on the social media, it's that dang church on Snow Road. That's what they said. It's the dang church on Snow Road. Hey, I'm glad. I'm glad I can be counted, right? And so are you. And of course, the DA comes over, checks everything, everything's legit, and he goes on. Because we're not doing anything illegal, we're doing exactly what you can do. And Ron, I think you dealt with it, didn't you, or when he came over? Oh, Gabriel did. Yeah, Gabriel dealt with it. And then we're not doing anything wrong. But I want to know this. What other churches here in town had the DA show up and say, are you doing anything illegally? I want to know that. Because I guarantee you they don't. Because here's what happens. You stick your neck out there, and everybody in this room knows you stick your neck out there, and they don't like it. So you get all these crazies on the internet saying, it's that dang church on Snow Road. We got to get them. They're doing it illegally. They can't do that. And we are illegal. We are legal. Everything's legit. We can do this. But again, they squawk, right? It's a micro picture of that little scene that happened to us with the DA coming out. It's like what they do to Trump on a greater scale. Right? They just make stuff up. That's illegal. They're doing something illegal over there. It's got to be that church on Snow Road that has the Israeli flags and the American flag. How dare they fly an American flag? You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I get it. And I think that's what I'm trying to get the message out to all of you, and you realize this. We're in a fight. I think everyone in this room realizes it, and you're willing to fight, okay? But they're not. And you better wake up to that. They're not. And I think I'll just leave it at this. Donald Trump, let me just play you 5 minutes, okay, of a part of this interview. Donald Trump explains what you already know about the environmentalism and what it's doing to our economy. You already know this, okay? But what I want to show you is how Donald Trump can articulate it to Joe Rogan to make the argument that pastors should be making to their congregations about this whole radical environmentalism, which is nothing but earth worship. Okay? So just listen to for just 5 minutes. This is what pastors should be doing.
Well, are there other influences that may be over-accentuate or over-exaggerate these environmental effects? Are people being influenced in a way where they're trying to keep us from producing American oil?
Yeah. So the environmental is the biggest tool for stopping growth, the biggest tool. The other is regulation. And if you speak to Elon, he said the regulation now to send a rocket up to anywhere, even if you do everything, it's becoming impossible. But they use environmental in order to get people not to do anything. And sometimes I say, I look at some of I know the environmental stuff better because I had to build buildings in New York. I had to do environmental impact studies. And I would see some of these guys that I'd hire for a lot of money, environmentalists that would get you through the process. And they'd be up in Albany, that's the capital of New York, and they're up there trying to make it tougher for guys like me that were builders. because they'd get paid more money. In other words, I had one guy, highly recommended. I was good at getting permits. I was one of the kings of. I was always very good, but the environmental stuff was always horrible. They could slow a project down 10 years, 15 years. I had a project in Louisiana, built big LNG plant. It was for 14 years. It was going to cost $18 billion. One of the biggest, like the Empire State Building, laying down on its side times 4, massive, on the coast, on the Gulf Coast. And they said, sir, they're going to give it up. I said, they shouldn't give it up. What's the problem? They can't get their environmental. They had environmental permits that would fill this whole room up to the ceiling. And they said there was one mistake on one little line. They wanted to do it all over again. It's not going to happen. And I got them their permit instantly. And they built the plant. It's massive.
So when you're saying that, there's people that are making money by making it difficult.
Yeah.
Are you talking about lawyers?
No, I'm talking about environmental consultants and lawyers.
Environmental consultants profit off of dragging out the process.
Absolutely.
And
how
do
make
they
the
profit?
process worse.
How do they profit?
And I'd probably do the same thing if I were them, to be honest with you.
As a
I want to be honest with you.
How do they do that? How do they make it?
Let's say New York, they go to Albany.
Okay.
And they convince people that if you have a certain type of plant on the ground that's this big and in theory valueless, that it's a rare plant and you cannot ever even touch it. Okay. You can't go near it. You can't put a building on it. You can't do anything. Or there's a little puddle and they call it a lake. And you have to go by the standards of a lake. I said, no, that's a puddle. Oh, you have no idea. Guys are filling a little puddle. You have no idea what they do. And they use it as a way to stop you.
They use it as a way to stop you and also as a way to generate money. I'm curious how are they generating money that way, though?
Well, they get fees.
They get fees.
Massive fees.
And
you pay these guys.
People rely on them as experts because they're the people that they go to when they have to run these studies in the first place.
But some of them are just bad guys, and they're trying to make it more and more difficult.
And they have a lot of power.
I think they maybe had more. They didn't have as much with me because I would get through them, and I understood it. Look, I've done so many, they call it environmental impact study. I did so much to build a building. To build a building in New York is very tough. You got to deal with, think of it, financing, unions, all the municipal stuff, environmental. Of all of it, to me, the toughest thing was the environmental, because they could stop you cold with the environmental impact study stuff. And you hire a so-called expert. They say, sir, he's the one guy, he can get you through the morass. It's a morass. It's horrible. They use it as a weapon. They use it all over the country.
Right, but there are legitimate concerns about environmental impact, correct? Like, look about the BP oil spill. There's a lot of things that do happen that are environmentally devastating. And you want to mitigate that as much as possible.
You do. Look, I had, during our 4 years, we had the cleanest air and the cleanest water. I view it differently. I say air and water. Remember this, it costs much more to do things environmentally clean. China doesn't do anything.
Right.
When Kerry goes to see President Xi of China, which he probably doesn't even get to see him, but they look at him, oh, yes, we will do, oh, yes, we're going to do that. No more coal, and then they approve 58 coal plants for the next, they build a coal plant a week. Okay.
They build a lot of coal plants.
But let me just tell you, though, so here we are cleaning and scrubbing everything, and everything's got to, and the air's got to be pure. But in 3.8 days, that stuff floating over China is right over the top of us.
Right.
Same thing with the oceans. They dump their garbage into the Pacific Ocean. If you take a little cork and put it there, in about a week and a half, it'll be in front of Los Angeles. We're picking up their garbage. So nobody ever talks about that.
And so as you can see, he's making a point that it's a joke. America has to clean up its act, but that China and India and everyone else doesn't. And that's never said. But it goes to show you that this radical environmentalism, they're putting it on the West, but they're not putting it on anyone else. And it's to destroy the economy. As you can see, he says the biggest thing, the hang-up that they get is they hang projects up, they make money off of it, and that's what you have to understand about radical environmentalism. It's about money. That's all it's about. And if they can make you think that you're killing the planet, or you're going to save the kangaroo rat, or you're going to save Bakersfield cactus, or you're going to whatever it is, they'll do whatever they can to get the money out of you. And so he's saying things that you know, right? But my point is, the churches should be saying this. It shouldn't have to be on Joe Rogan. It shouldn't have to, but it is, okay? So I'll end on this, and we got to get going because YouTube already took us down. Yeah, so it's already taken us down. So going back to Psalm 22 and end on this, why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? I just showed you that. They're raging, right? What is it about? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, the Messiah. That's really what it's about. It's not about Donald Trump. It's to destroy the West, but it's to get rid of the ties that Christianity has here. Look what it says, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. What bonds and cords? The bonds and cords, the laws that come from God and his anointed, the Messiah. That's what they want to cast away with. That's why they're destroying the West. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. Kamala's not going to be laughing. God will be laughing, right? The Lord shall hold them in derision. Then he shall speak to them in his wrath. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. Then the Lord shall hold them in derision. Then he shall speak to them in his wrath and distress them in his deep displeasure. Yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. They will not be able to stop what God is doing. Now, here's the thing. We'll talk more about this on Sunday. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't on Tuesday. Neither do you. We have guesses and stuff like that. All I know is this. There will be a message from it. A message from God. And you will be able to discern what that message is come election night. Okay? And that what you're looking for is, do you have more time to do the work of God, or do you have less? That's one of the big issues, okay? That you're going to know by Tuesday. And that's going to set in motion how you project into the coming days. So I want you to start preparing mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for whatever decision God makes on that. If he says, I'm going to give you more time, then you better be figuring out what you're going to be doing with that time. If you're going to get less time, better get to it now, because you're going to have no time, right? You better get on it now. So I want you to start thinking in those terms, okay? It's big. It's a big thing. Anyway, we got to go, and we'll see what happens. We'll talk more on Sunday, okay? Let's pray. Father, thank you, Lord, for what we can learn about tonight, about Laodicea, how we're in the midst of it in the church. We see it, unfortunately, in our society. It's troubling when the voices that are carrying the West and carrying the Judeo-Christian ethic are not even Christians. They're Joe Rogan, they're Megyn Kelly or whatever, and I don't see any national Christian leaders carrying the torch, Father. And we know there's a core out there. We know we're a part of that core. We know, but we know it's small. But Father, whatever comes our way, help us to fight in this battle. Help us to stand for truth, stand against the evil, stand against the darkness, and do everything we can to fight until you call us home. We pray now in Jesus' name, amen.